Hello traders, welcome to a new strategy video on Tether. So today's video is not going to be me bashing Tether or saying how controversial USDT is, but what we're actually going to look at is what effect does Tether have on the price of Bitcoin? When the circulating supply of Tether increases or decreases, what does that tend to do to Bitcoin? And when Tether is priced differently than USD at a price premium, what tends to happen to the price of Bitcoin? Before we get into that, this was Patreon suggested, the Tether effect on BTC price. If you would like to suggest a video or vote on any of these videos, you can just go to my Patreon and do that. For as little, I think it is $3 a month or $1 to $3 a month for that. So if you're interested in that, you can go check that out. Also, something that's not $3, but what I also created was a guide to price action volume. So what this is I wrote a 280-page step-by-step guide for how one can trade the markets just using price action and just using volume. And I also attached a private group with daily practice examples and daily questions to increase your pattern recognition and make you a better trader. So if you're interested in any of this, if you want to go check it out, you can just go to the link in the description below and you can take advantage of the markets. All right, the shill of my price action volume guide and the shill of my Patreon is now over. Now let's get into Tether. So the first thing that I do want to talk about is let's look at what effect does Tether's printing or Tether's revoking have on the price of Bitcoin. Now, but before we talk about this, I do want to talk about what is Tether, just a very basic sense for those who may not know. So there are two main types of coins that we can use to buy cryptocurrencies, but besides cryptocurrencies themselves. And to show that, let's look at money flow in the last 24 hours. We can use traditional fiat currencies, US dollar, euro, the yuan, Brazilian real, and Japanese yen. Or we could use stablecoins. A stablecoin is Tether, PAX, TUSD, USDC, many more coins as well. And the reason why stablecoins actually even came into being is there are a lot of rules and regulations with the US dollar, and not many exchanges are allowed to actually use the US dollar for deposits and withdrawals. So what some traders did, or some exchanges did, is if they weren't allowed to list BTC USD as an asset that they could actually trade on, that you could trade on their exchange, they would create BTC USDT. And many exchanges did this, Bitfinex and many other big exchanges, so that you were able to trade Bitcoin to the dollar, except you're trading it to another cryptocurrency, which is Tether. And here you can see that the majority of the market in the last 24 hours, and just in general too, it's typically Tether flowing into Bitcoin instead of US dollar flowing into Bitcoin. You can just see the difference from $1.3 billion to 263 million. Tether to Ethereum is 859 million, and US dollar is only 122 million. So it's typically of all stable coins that are pegged to the US dollar or other fiat currencies and fiat currencies themselves, Tether is the dominant force here. So whenever something has this much of an impact on price and is used this often, I think that it's pretty important to go look at the historical patterns that Tether has on Bitcoin, on the price of Bitcoin. You can also scroll down and look at how cryptocurrencies flowed into other cryptocurrencies. It's typically Bitcoin that flows into other crypto currencies. I'm going to attach this in the description below. You can also look at the volume of Tether or Bitcoin. You can look at dominance, so the percent market cap that Tether has, or you could look at Bitcoin's dominance. You can look at total market cap and all of that fun at CoinLib. So when we look at Tether's effect on Bitcoin price, I actually did not find much of a correlation between the printing and revoking of Tether. So the company can print more Tether, so that's what increases the supply, the circulating supply, from January 7th up to, let's just take a date, January 18, January 17, 18 looks like. From this point in time, a lot of Tether was created, was printed by the company. a lot of USDT was created by the company, and I think that some traders and someone else are going to tell you that printing Tether does this, or revoking, which is when they take some Tether out of the supply, circulating supply, or revoking has a massive effect on the price of Bitcoin. It's kind of unclear. I think I would say. To be honest, I don't think there's a way that I could actually just trade this, and know exactly what to do every single time. There are some instances where you can see here when a lot of Tether was being printed, the price was dropping. When a lot of Tether was being printed here as well, the price was dropping. And then Tether, the printing and revoking of Tether has just been just about flat. But yeah, I think that it is still important to look at to see how much of a circulating supply Tether has, because this can let you know how much of an impact Tether is going to have on the market, especially if even more Tether is printed and more Tether is transacted with 24-hour volume. Then I think that this chart may become a lot more important, and especially if we begin to see some significant changes up or significant changes down in the circulation of Tether. But as my rule with just a lot of analysis and a lot of tools like this, I only care about significant changes. So if there's a massive drop or a massive rise in the supply of Tether, then that could tell me that major volatility is coming, or that a reversal is coming. But I'm not really seeing anything too special with the circulation of Tether, as you can see here. All right, now let's look at something that I found this to be much more helpful, and this is the Tether premium effect on Bitcoin price. I think that the site here, longhash.com, does a really good job with explaining how this works and what the premium is. Basically, what we're looking at is when Tether is overpriced, so when Tether is priced higher than the US dollar, or when Tether is priced lower than the US dollar. This should not be happening. It's not supposed to, but it does. And it does have a significant effect on price. One thing that I have to say about this site, though, I do not fully believe that this is true. Here they say that a large positive USD price premium, so that's when USDT, Tether, is priced much higher than the US dollar. They're saying that signals a coming rise, and then a negative may signal a fall in the price in Bitcoin prices. But what I found just from looking at significant highs and looking at significant lows of Tether was that, let me just show a few using the box. Yeah, here. Whenever I saw that when Tether had a very large premium, so when Tether was very overpriced against the dollar, a much higher price than the dollar, like something like this, this is what typically led to a reversal. Now you may say, well, how do you know when it's overpriced? Is this overpriced? Is this overpriced? Is this overpriced? Well, this is where really the concept of significant highs and significant lows comes into. Whenever we see any chart, but let's just use this chart for statistics here. Whenever we see a previous high, whenever that value goes back to that previous high, we should be alerted that a similar outcome may occur that had occurred the time before. So what I mean by that, here we saw that Tether was quite high. I mean, Tether had quite the premium, and price dropped. Here, Tether got to that similar level, actually went past it. Price dropped when it reached that level of that previous premium. It reached a third time here. When did it reach it? Well, it reached it right after this price rise, and price was not able to rise any higher. Maybe because Tether was priced so high above the dollar that dragged the price back down. Now what we can see is, let's look for whenever the USDT price premium goes to these levels again, goes to this level of about 29, about 25 to 30, or goes higher. When did that occur next? Didn't occur here, it occurred here. So here we had a very large Tether premium, and price just tanked. We also had it occur here again, where the Tether premium went up a lot, and that was as price was tanking here. So both of these times this led to bearish movement. This time it led to bearish movement as well, this time as well. So if we were to find when these significant highs were reached or broken, or Tether went above them, both times price fell, or price was currently falling. And we can see this pattern again. What time did we see Tether, the premium of Tether, reach that level again? Well, if I just draw this sideways, you can see it just did. Here, the Tether premium was quite high, and I think that this was occurring right before price fell. Yeah, perfect. Right as price was falling, and also right before price was falling, we saw that the Tether was priced much higher than the US dollar. Price fell, and then the premium went back to normal levels. So this is the kind of analysis that I would recommend doing for any tool. You look at the outcome, you look at significant highs and significant lows, and the outcome of those previous significant highs and lows, and you can expect a greater ferocity or a greater effect when those high or lows are broken. So when this high was broken, I'm expecting a bigger dump. When this high was broken, I'm expecting an even larger price dump than than this high, and it did lead to a larger price dump. And then here as well. So we always want to look at the outcome and what this tool is showing us for how significantly large or small it is relative to its past extremes. And here it would have helped as well. Now, if we look at negative, the only time that it was very, very negative, we don't really have a lot of data because typically USDT has been priced above the dollar and not priced below the dollar. When it was priced below the dollar, it looked like it had just prices rose, which makes sense because if we see here that each time this is priced very high, price tends to fall. It would make sense that when the Tether premium was very low, the price actually rose. And price rose until the Tether premium went back to about zero. Until the Tether premium went back to about 1-to-1 ratio to the US dollar. And the only other times that actually ever occurred was here, near this price bottom. Here, where price consolidated just didn't really do much. Here, just before the price rise. So the three times where we actually saw the Tether having that 1-to-1 ratio to the US dollar, price did rise 2 out of 3 times. Yeah. As you can see here, I'm saying 2 out of 3 because 1, and then 2, and then 3 here it dropped, as you can see. I think that this still is important, and if we ever get Tether going to a price premium down here, then that would alert me that price is likely to rise. Or if we ever get Tether going back down to being pegged to the US dollar successfully, so 1-to-1 ratio or just a 0% change on the premium of Tether, I think that could also signal a price rise. So this kind of analysis of the premium on the price of Bitcoin, I think that this is important to do, especially so I know I showed this before, but because so much of Tether flowing, so much of the fiat currencies and stablecoins that flow into crypto and flow into Bitcoin and Ethereum, it's Tether the majority of the time, as you can see here. That's being reported here. And I think that just about does it for us looking at Tether. If you want to know any more about Tether and the effects it does have, I would recommend taking a look at the Bitcoin, the Tether dominance, and also looking at the market cap of Tether as well. I think that you can also get some clues to that. Also, volume spikes on Tether I found to be significant. Typically, when I saw a major volume spike on Tether, that led to a reversal. So 15 of October, 15 of October was here. Another example, when we had a major volume spike on Tether, was 24 February, which was 4.62 billion transacted of Tether. 24 February was here, this reversal. Or a retracement. We'll see if it's a reversal or a retracement. But that's another thing you can look at. You can look at this. You could look at circulation and supply. But I think that looking at the premium, looking at the volume of Tether, I think that this is all pretty important stuff. Even though it might not be as just clear-cut and dry as something like sentiment. Well, even sentiment's not really clear-cut and dry. Something like MDR or BAS and order depth kind of indicators. All right, if you have any more you want to add to this discussion on how we can analyze Tether, as a predictor for the price of Bitcoin, you can comment in the comment section below, or you can go to my free Discord chat in the description below. With that, happy trading. Good luck.